Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you as always for coming on.
Thank you for having me today.
So a pretty stunning turnaround on Wall Street overnight, the Dow plunging almost 7%, the biggest decline since March. Some of the states reopening are seeing a surge in coronavirus cases. What's the story in the global markets?
Yes, it seems that it's repeating what happened in March of this year, and quite a lot of investors are scared about the drop that we saw in U.S. market. As you said, the Wall Street plummeted on Thursday, suffering the worst trading session since March, as the hopes for the fast economic recovery faded away as the Fed Chair Powell painted a gloomy outlook going forward, whether the U.S. economy can recover quickly. Also, the second wave of COVID cases in several states triggered the fears about the reopening efforts done by U.S. The Texas reported 3 consecutive days of record-breaking hospitalizations, which is a big concern. And also Florida and various other states were talking about a new infection coming in a big number. Meanwhile, the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, said that we cannot shut down the economy again. And he also added that he's preparing to return to the Congress to request additional fiscal spending to stimulate the economy. So clearly there is a concern about the COVID-19 versus a continuation of injections and boosting measures done by the government. It seems that the market seems to be taking a bit of a breather after such a crash yesterday, as the futures market, the U.S. S&P is up about 1.3% and NASDAQ futures up about 1.2%.
Yeah, there were declines here in Korea too, starting out this morning down around 4%, but recovering a lot of that. Tell us about the Korean markets.
Yes, as you said, Kospi index tumbled at the beginning by 89 points or 4.1% at the open, following the huge drop in the Wall Street overnight. Clearly the mounting fears over the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in U.S. is putting pressure on the Korean market as well, as the quick economic recovery for the country, for Korea, is a question mark at this point in time. However, though, government as well as the Bank of Korea have said that they will keep pumping stimulus to the economy and deploy the policy tools to make sure that the economy recovers in the future. In terms of how I look at the Korean equity market, we think that the economic recovery can come through, and the numbers should be better than most of the other countries due to very strong the economy in regards to the IT sector, as well as the fourth industrial revolution related sectors. Also, we are seeing a massive liquidity injection by the domestic investors into the Korean equity market, resulting into quite a resilience of the overall equity market. And also, if you look at Korea, there's potential for re-rating story as the corporate governance issue improves. So all in all, yes, Korean market has declined by quite sharply today, by around 2% for Kospi and about 1.5% for Kosdaq. But nevertheless, the level of decline, it seems to be reasonably okay. And also going into the future, people are expecting more liquidity to boost up the equity market going forward.
Well, now the exchange rate has come down a lot in the past week or so. The dollar to the Korean won, it's below the 1,200 mark for a couple of days there, but ticking up a bit today. What's happening with the Korean currency?
Yes, surprisingly, if you look at the Korean won, it went from 1,250 range to all the way down to below 1,200. Clearly, this is because we have seen dollar index falling by about 4% from its peak, around 100 index to as low as 96 below. However, though, with this kind of concern about COVID-19, people were basically flight to safety actually occurred, and therefore the dollar kind of appreciated a bit, and also Korean won depreciated a bit. However, though, it seems that the continuation of commitment done by the various countries is there, and therefore we think that the Korean won should not be weakening that quickly. We think the range bound anywhere between 1190 to 1220 should be reasonable range bound. It seems that the dollar index also seems to be depreciating a bit of today. It is down to about 96.6, and therefore we think that Korean won can have a bit more room to appreciate in the future. And if that's the case, then foreign investors should be coming back to the Korean equity market. And if we look at the foreign investors trend, they're not really major net seller of the equity market, as they're actually a big buyer of the Kosdaq market today.
Got it. All right, Mr. Yu, thanks so much for sharing your insights today, and have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you very much.